Good morning, everybody. Shavua Tov. This is another Devar Torah brought to you from TorahAnyTime.com. This week we're starting a new book, the second book of the Torah, the book of Exodus, the book of Shemot. And this is the story of the beginning of the Exodus of the Jews from the land of Egypt. And the Torah introduces us and tells us to the king Paro. And it says, Vayakom melech chadash al Mitzrayim. There was a new king who came along to Egypt, Asher lo yada et Yosef, that did not know Yosef. Now you have to understand, you have to remember, we learned just last week, Yosef was the one who brought the salvation to the land of Egypt. The Paro had a dream, nobody could figure out his dreams. The land of Egypt was supposed to go into a drought, into a famine, there would be no food, and Yosef saved the time, saved the land. Yosef was the hero, he became the ruler of all Egypt. Here the Torah wants to introduce us to Paro. So the Torah tells us what a wicked man Paro was, that he didn't remember Yosef. He was an ingrate, he didn't remember the good deeds that he did, and therefore Yosef was a Jew, and Paro gave the Jewish people living in the land of Egypt to work hard and to be slaves. And the question is, Hachamim ask, if when the Torah wants to introduce us somebody wicked like Paro, you could pick something much worse. The Midrash and the Sfarim tell us that Paro used to every single morning bathe in the bath, have a bath with water of 300 infants. The blood of 300 infants. He used to bathe every single morning. You want to talk about somebody really wicked, somebody who does something so low, so disgusting, despicable. Introduce me Paro, a man who bathed every morning with the blood of 300 Jewish infants every morning. Take me other things that Paro did. But to tell me, okay, Paro didn't remember Yosef, that's the introduction how bad Paro was. There was many leaders who forgot their predecessors, the people before them. What is such a big deal to introduce me Paro like this? Really, the Torah, our rabbis say, is teaching us a lesson in life. And that is, the expression goes, HaKofer betovat havero kekofer betovat kono. A person who is ingrateful for the good deed his friend does to him, that's only the beginning. In the end, it's going to lead that you're going to be an ungrateful person, and you're not going to believe in your Creator, in God Himself. And that's what happened to Paro. Later on, when Moshe came to Paro, he said, who is this God? I don't know who he is. When Yosef came to Paro, and Paro said, interpret me the dreams, Yosef said to him, I can't interpret it to you, only God can. Afterwards, Paro, after he heard the interpretation, Paro said to Yosef, you are a man with the Spirit of God. He knew God then. Suddenly now he doesn't know God anymore. The Torah is coming to teach us a very important lesson. Paro bathed with the bath of the blood of 300 infants. Of course, that's despicable, that's disgusting, that's so bad. That's such a low life. How far can you go more than that? How worse can you get? But it doesn't start from there. Where does it start from? How do you reach a level of becoming such a low life? It starts off, first of all, by HaKofer betovat havero. A person who's ungrateful to his friend. That's how it starts off. To be an ingrate. Somebody does you a favor, and not to pay him back, not to remember him. Then it's going to lead to forgetting God. And when a person forgets God, he can even become such a low life like Paro, and to bathe with the infant's blood, 300 children every single day. So the Torah is telling us the source and the root of what got Paro to have this shower, this bath with the blood of the Jewish children every day. And that is by being an ingrate and not remembering God. And the truth is, our whole Torah teaches us this good character that we have to have, called Hakarat Tov. It has to be in the Jewish DNA, in our blood. Being grateful to other people. They do you a favor, pay them back. Be nice, be kind. The story goes of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who used to live in Yerushalayim. He was the posek of Yerushalayim, of the world. And his funeral, I happened to be there. I was learning in yeshiva in Yerushalayim. I attended his funeral over there at the time. They say it was one of the biggest funerals ever in the Jewish world. Estimated around 300,000 people came to pay their last wishes to him. And it wasn't only religious, it was non-religious, and it was from all sides of the spectrum of the Jewish people. And everybody thought to themselves, how comes? Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach was a Yerushalmi Jew, right? He had long peot, a long beard. How comes it brought secular Jews, it brought everybody there? And the answer everybody said was, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach cared and loved each person. Somebody did him the smallest thing, he paid him back. He showed his love for everybody. Just one small story about how Rabbi Shlomo Zalman lived his life. He used to live in a town called Sharei Chesed, in a neighborhood in Yerushalayim, and he used to take a taxi every day to Beit Vagan, to the yeshiva called Torah, where he was the head of. So this taxi driver, who was a secular person, he said about him, this was for years driving him, that never once did he come there to pick up the Rav, and he had to wait for the Rav. Every morning when he came to his house, the Rav was already standing outside. Is that the way we act when we have a taxi waiting for us? We have a worker for us. Do we make the workers wait for us? Of course we do. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach had such a delicate, sensitive heart that even his workers, his drivers, they get paid. So what if they get paid? He's still a human being. He's still a man. Why should I make him wait for me? I'm going to be there before he even comes. It's called Hakarat HaTov. He's doing me a favor. I pay him. It doesn't make a difference. He's doing me still the favor to take me to the yeshiva. And the story goes that this taxi driver said that every morning he used to come into the cab. The first thing is, how are you? How is your family? How is your children? He treated him like a man, not like a worker. And at the end of the days, he kept Shabbat. He became a Shomer Shabbat, because he said when Rabbi Shlomo Zalman asked him to be a Shomer Shabbat, he could not say no. It was impossible. His face, his smile, his love he showed for me every morning was too much. That's Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Just one small story. And the Torah tells us story after story about the importance of having Hakarat HaTov, of being grateful. And the biggest story we have in this week's Torah reading is how Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses, how he deserved and how he got the best son-in-law in the world, Moshe Rabbeinu, who took us out of Egypt, who brought down the Torah for us, who took us all the way into Eretz Israel nearly. How did Yitro, this Gentile person, deserve such a great man, a great son-in-law like Moshe Rabbeinu? Who would not want a son-in-law Moshe Rabbeinu? You have to really deserve it. What did Yitro do so special? And the Midrash tells us, ladies and gentlemen, that Paro, what he didn't know, he wanted to destroy the Jewish people. He had 3 advisors. One of his advisors was Bil'am, one of them was Iyov, and one of them was Yitro. Paro said, I want to throw all the boys in the water, the Jewish boys in the water, to kill them, because I see in the stars that their survivor is going to come out of, saved in the water, come be born here. So Bil'am said, great idea. And Paro gave him a reward for that. Iyov kept quiet. And Yitro said, I'm sorry. The Jewish people saved your land, Mr. Paro. You cannot do that to them. You cannot destroy them. You're an ingrate. How could you do this to the Jewish people? You know what happens when thousands of years ago you tell a ruler like that, a tyrant, a land without any democracy, that you're wrong? Your head gets cut off. Yitro knew that the moment he says these words to Paro, his life is in danger. He was willing to give up his life, but to say the truth, not to be an ingrate. And as soon as he said those words to Paro, he ran for his life. He was a refugee. He had to run out of the land of Egypt. He had in him this character, Yitro, of being a grateful person. And you want to know how he got his son-in-law like Moshe Rabbeinu? The Torah tells us. It's a story in the Torah, not a midrash, not nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu, he was brought up in the lap of Paro, in the palace of Egypt. And he runs out of the palace. He has to go because Paro wants to kill him. He realizes he's a Jew. I'm telling you the story very short. Paro wants to kill him. And he comes. Batavona. And he comes to the land of Midian. And the Kohen Midian, the priest of Midian, his name was Yitro, had 7 girls. And they went every single day to draw out water from the well. Vayavo haroim, vayigarashum. And every single day there used to be shepherds who used to come and stand on these 7 girls, the daughters of Yitro. They used to make fun of them, used to pick on them. And Yitro knew that the daughters would come home every day late from drawing out water. Moshe Rabbeinu ran away from Egypt. Vayakom Moshe, the Torah writes. Moshe gets up, he sees some men starting on these girls. Moshe straight away took action. Vayoshi'an, and he saved them. Vayash ketzonam. Vatavona reuel avihen. So the daughters of Yitro came back to their father early that day. Vayomer, and Yitro said to his daughters, Madua mi'artem bo hayom. Why did you come back so quickly today? How comes you managed to draw out water so quickly? Vatomarna, and they said back to their father, Ish mitzri tzilanu miyad haroim. There was a man, an Egyptian man. They didn't know he was Jewish, Moshe Rabbeinu. He came, he was a strong man. He saved us from these evil people who start on us every day. And he drew out the water for us. That's why we're back so quickly today. As soon as the father of these 7 girls, Yitro, hears that, they tell him a man saves them. What's his reaction to them? Listen very carefully. Vayomer el benotav. He says to his daughters, Ve'ayo, and where is this man who saved you? You just leave him like that? Is this the education that I teach you? Do I not tell you that I had to run away from Egypt because I told Paro he's an ungrateful person? I had to run away from my life. All my life I'm teaching you this this attitude to be grateful to somebody who helps you. Where is he? Why did you leave this man? Call him here, get him back, give him a meal, give him a hot plate of soup, give him some roast beef, pay him back for his kindness that he did. Yitro tells his daughters there and there, how could you? A man saves you, helps you draw out the water, and you just leave him like that. My life is all about being grateful. And we all know the story afterwards. The daughters go, they call Moshe Rabbeinu back. He has 7 daughters to pick from. Right? He picks Tzipporah, and the story is over. He marries the daughter of Yitro. That's how Yitro got the son-in-law, the best son-in-law in the world, Moshe Rabbeinu, through an action of being grateful. This is so important, this midah of Hakarat HaTov. The Hachamim tell us that when the Torah chose to introduce us Paro, it didn't tell us stories about what a low life he was, and how he used to bathe with blood of 300 babies, infants, every single day. The Torah tells us one thing. Asher lo yada et Yosef. He was an ungrateful king. He didn't remember the kindness that the Jews did to him, saved his land, brought the salvation into Egypt. Because when you start being ungrateful to your friends, in the end you're going to be an ungrateful person to God. You're not going to remember God, God forbid. You're not going to believe God, and you can become such a low life that you can bathe every day with the blood of 300 infants. This is such an important attribute that Torah is teaching all of us, ladies and gentlemen. Because a person who is an ungrateful person, most of the time, he is a sad person. I look around in life and I see the people who are ungrateful. They're sad. They're always thinking they could get better. They always feel they're missing things in life. They're always miserable. They're always sad people. People who have Hakarat HaTov, people who have the attitude and the characteristic to be grateful to other people, have this midah of Hakarat HaTov that is so much in a Jewish person. People who are happy, people who live their lives b'simcha. And that's what the Torah is teaching us. If we want to have a life with our spouses, with our children, it's the first thing we have to do. Let's be grateful everything that happens to us. Even things that you could say, but anyway, my wife has to do this to me. Anyway, my husband has to do this to me. It's written in our prenup marriage. In the Keduvah. It doesn't make a difference. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach used to pay the taxi driver to take him to the yeshiva every day. And you could have had this attitude too. Well, I'm paying him. Why do I have to be grateful for him? That's not a difference. Gratefulness is not for the other person. Gratefulness, ladies and gentlemen, is for us. We have to grow in this character of being grateful. When we grow in this idea, in this midah we become better people. We become better husbands. We become better spouses. And we have a much happier life. Have a great week. Shavua Tov.